Good evening. I'm John Bailey. This is People to Be Heard, a program where people who have something to say have their say. And tonight, you've got the billion-dollar broker, Jacky Teplitzky of Douglas Elliman Real Estate. And we're interviewing her after the Bronx Westchester chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, who is represented by the Director of Business Development for NARUP, Armondo Tam. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Right. And she addressed the Latina of Influence Empowerment Breakfast at the Cambium Condominium in Marshmont, where I'm speaking to you from, where she spoke to more than 60 members and guests on her career and ways brokers can find their niche in the competitive real estate industry. And first of all, about 60 Latina women attended this morning, Ms. Teplitzky. And how do Latina women in today's world become empowered and influence people?
Well, I think that first of all, Latina women have to believe in themselves. And they have to believe that they can make a change for themselves and they can make a change for their communities. Women have a lot of power because they are usually in charge of the education of their children. They're usually in charge of the education of whoever is around them. So they can make a lot of difference in their own communities and in their own families and in their own businesses.
And they have a lot of influence in the happiness of their significant other.
Well, fun.
Let's not forget that.
Let's get that message out.
Let's not forget that part.
Right, exactly. And what do Latina women aspiring towards a business career have to do to be taken seriously in today's rapidly changing business climate?
Well, I think that one of the things is that they have to become a little bit more educated. I think that we as Latina women have this tendency to stay within our family and not so much to expand our horizons beyond our family and our profession. Real estate is not really about real estate, you know that. Real estate is about, we are therapists, we are economists, we have to know everything that is happening in the world, in a very changing world, as we all know, on a minute basis. And the problem sometimes with us is that we have a tendency to being very sheltered in our own communities. And what we really have to do is to get out of our communities and to be very well informed and very well educated about everything that is happening in the community, but also around the world.
Right. Get out, go to Board of Education meetings. That one of my pet peeves is there's not enough representation of Latinos in education, the education process.
So it's interesting you say that. That is correct. They are underrepresented in the traditional forms, which NARP is different. Over half of our membership are Latinas. Over half of our board of directors within all the chapters are Latinas. And so we just kind of mirror what the community is. We're much younger than the traditional non-realtor association demographics are, so we're much younger. And it's a trend that we see that's going to be around for a long time. So when you have mentors like this, it just opens up the opportunity for Latinas to absorb that education.
And isn't NAREP now almost like a lobby a group?
So we're
that you will lobby for laws related to.
Yeah. So we're a nonprofit business trade association, and so we do the education of our consumers and our membership. But we also have a lobbying arm as well that we go to DC and we talk about the issues that affect the Hispanic community.
Yeah, and you're taught terrific. At the breakfast today, you really, people were hanging on your every word and you were engaged. It seemed like it was 20 minutes, but it was quite longer than that because you were such a great speaker. And what are some of the stories you have heard from the women here today or in your experience about their experiences in forging a Westchester, New York real estate career? What is their niche?
So I think that their niche is the local community, but they also struggle sometimes with balancing what I call the balancing act. Everybody asks me about the balancing act. How can you be a good mother and a good businesswoman, and and not to feel guilty that you're not enough of a good mother or that you're not enough of a good businesswoman. And I say that you don't have to make a choice. I think that you have to create your path from the beginning, and your children have to be almost like part of your business. Like in my case, from the time that I think my kids were born, they knew that I'm in real estate, and they knew that that was part of their lives, and I was not going to go to every soccer game or every little league game because I work.
That's your business.
That's
weekends,
my business.
Right.
But they now, fast forward, now that they are older, they feel very proud and they feel very honored that they actually got to be raised by a woman in the working force.
Is the Latina woman needed more in today's world, and particularly real estate? If so, why?
Yes. Real estate is a people-to-people business, and women have the tendency, I think, to be a little bit better than men with the relationship, and they know how to read between the lines better than on the line.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's something that women are very good at, and that's why. And real estate is about people's homes, and usually the woman is the homemaker, so that's something that is very close to their heart. And by influencing that and trying also to move the community to, buying better homes in better areas where there are better schools and all of that, this is like a chain reaction. So they basically elevate themselves and they elevate the whole community around them.
And from what I understand, the realty business in the area really needs the Latino touch. They're looking for folks.
I think what we call at NARP is the cultural nuances.
Yes.
People who speak and can mirror the community they're serving. For example, the story I said earlier, when my parents were buying a home, there was no Hispanic agents. So they had the kid translate. And so had I not spoken the language, it would have been that much harder. And who knows, right? But as the Latino community continues to grow, the challenge we see is to support that growth with professionals. And so that's why organizations like NARP want to empower these people. We want to provide opportunity, but also the educational resources too. People are making the most important financial decision in their life. And so we want to make sure that our members are very well knowledgeable in that industry.
Ms. Teplitzky, has today's selling of real estate changed dramatically?
Completely. We have to even rethink about our role as real estate agents. Our role was to find the property, the right property for our clients. Our role is not any longer that. They can find their own home. They go on the internet at midnight. They are 24/7 looking at the internet. We are not going to be 24/7 looking for one person, but they look for themselves. So we are more now advisors. Okay, we are in a different role, in a role that if a client says to us, okay, I'm debating between this house and this house and this house. Tell me, what are the negatives and positives of this one? What are the negatives and positives? And help me making a decision. So our role is not any longer to find people a home, like in all the, like the advertising, oh, let me find you a home. Not any longer.
Right. Now, are more customers and executives of Latin descent in today's market than before? Because your talk suggests that there is tremendous opportunity selling to Latinos, Brazil, in Miami, and of course the metro area.
Correct.
Certain parts of the country you have more penetration as far as transactions to foreign nationals. La Jolla, Coronado, Brickell, South Beach, Orlando, some parts of Texas and stuff. So we do see an influx of that because our members will tell us that there's a demand for it. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that, and I also see that you have to understand that also we are in a different generation. We have now the next generation of college-educated kids that are coming from basically the family that immigrated here, maybe did not have the college education. They are completely bilingual, but it's not only about being bilingual. What I think is about understanding the culture. So that next generation understands the culture of their parents, but they also understand the local culture, and they make that bridge. And by making that bridge, they are actually advancing everybody else. So I think that that next generation is going to be even much more successful than our parents, grandparents generation in real estate and in the economy. And look, the Hispanic population in the United States of America is booming. I mean, what is the percentage now? I don't know the exact number. What the Hispanic population within the United States?
The population continues to grow up, and more importantly, they're the drivers of home ownership. So any other population has declined over the last 5-10 years. Latinos continue to increase their home ownership share. And that's what she's talking about. The more we continue, the more assimilated our culture becomes.
Okay, so if I'm a Latino woman or a Latino man wanting to get into real estate, how do I convince the basically, let's be blunt, the white realty industry in Westchester, Bronx, and Manhattan to say you really are missing an opportunity by not hiring Latinos? How do we do that?
Well, I think that the numbers speak for themselves. If you see the statistics, as we just discussed those numbers, you're going to see that any owner of any real estate company is looking for what is the next horizon. Where am I going to grow? How am I going to penetrate new markets? Well, the only way to do that is to basically hire people that know those markets and actually got into that. I can tell you that our CEO, Dottie Herman, is a huge advocate of the Hispanic market, and she and I have had many conversations about getting into that market and having a larger presence.
That's Douglas Ullman.
Yes.
Right. Persons I know have gotten into real estate by taking courses and going to work locally. It gave me the impression that real estate is not as difficult to get into. But is that really the kind of preparation that is enough today?
So you are right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the threshold of the requirements to get your license is not that difficult. The problem is who actually survives and actually who makes it. So I think that what we have to do as an industry is we have to focus much more on education. We have to focus much more on coaching and training the next generation in order to improve, the competitiveness of our industry.
Yeah. How many homes and what kind of homes, condos, apartments are being sold to the Latino market in Westchester, in the Bronx, and New York areas?
I defer to you.
Yeah, no, I think across the country, the majority will go into their first, Latinos primarily, their purchase of home is the first time home ownership, right? The first time they're buying. So they are probably overbalanced on the condos as the first step into buying that.
So what are the trends happening in New York real estate now? Are Gen Xers being forced to come up to Westchester and the Bronx? Or for affordable rentals, condos? What is the trend?
Look, I mean, the trend, still the young, people that are starting their first job or second or are into their second job, I mean, they want to be as close to the city as possible. So, I drove here from the city today and it took me 35 minutes, which is amazing, correct? So, I think that this is a great opportunity for younger people to be moving up here that is a little bit more affordable. But look at this, we're sitting in this beautiful unit. So I think that it can be a great option for people to come here. People look for jobs, and that's the main thing. They look for jobs and affordability and transportation. So as long as you have those three, you are going to see people moving to those areas.
Yeah. So the Westchester mantra that they are depending on persons moving up from the city to live, in your opinion, as the expert, they're right.
Yes.
They're going to come on up, and so fill up all our White Plains apartments.
Exactly.
Exactly. Are the banks being more friendly in granting loans to the Latino community, or?
I think the trends speak for themselves. Latinos continue to increase every year on home ownership. So we don't see too much of a difference. Obviously, the biggest challenge right now is inventory. So not credit barriers.
So, the Latino, they're treated the same. Usually have 20% down on a mortgage.
The majority of the mortgages in the Hispanic community are FHA.
FHA. Okay. Now, you're going down to Miami after you do this interview to address folks from Latin America, Brazil, and what is Florida real estate still attractive?
Yes, it is. Well, Florida, when we say Florida, Florida is a big state. So we have to be very specific about Florida. So I want to say, look, Miami is really the capital of Latin America. So every single bank in Latin America has an office in Miami. So because of that, and because Miami, as I said in my speech, is not really a part of the United States of America, it's a very friendly environment, and people will always go to Miami, also because, of course, of the weather, but also because of the proximity to Latin America. It's almost like I say that there is a shuttle service between Latin America and Miami, like the number of flights that you have from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Brazil, from Chile, from Argentina is enormous. And people go there for 4 days, and it's not like it's a short flight. But people do that because they love Miami.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that they are looking for real estate all over the country to market them?
No. The Latin people that come, still their priority is going to be from Latin America is going to be Miami, is going to be New York, and it's going to be the West Coast, Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Now, do we lack inventory in New York and Florida for luxury top-end property?
No, not now.
No.
The market has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So in Miami, you do have right now a built-up in inventory, which brings together, opportunities. So you can actually get very good, luxury apartments for less than you could like 2 years ago. And in New York is the same situation. So there are a lot of opportunities now in both markets.
Okay. Now, what are the trends happening in real estate around Westchester today, in your opinion? Are there higher percentage of Latinos buying homes around Westchester in the past?
I would have to say nationally we continue to increase. Westchester, we have to look at what the average income is, house being sold, because if the average home is above $500,000, then we'll have a certain percentage of Hispanic market share. If it's under $500,000, obviously you'll have more. So I'd be curious to see what that is here in Westchester.
But the purchasing power of a Latino looking for a home in Westchester is going up.
Absolutely.
Did you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
As she said earlier, the kids are going to college, are being educated, more job opportunities. And so we are just now being, as I say, into the society more than it was 20 years ago when we first came over here.
Is student debt holding back real estate recovery among upper 20s and early 30s?
That's a big problem, and that's a huge problem. Both of my kids are in college, and they talk to their friends, and most of their friends have student loans, and they don't know even how they're going to deal with that after they graduate. So that's a big nut that the government will have to address at some point, because that definitely is putting a damper on those young people in order to get into the real estate game.
It's what's setting back this whole last 3-4 years of a millennial movement. It's just statistics show that they didn't live up to that potential. So obviously what she'll tell you the same thing is that you have to be ready, willing, and capable to purchase. Doesn't matter what demographic, because millennials are still living at home, the education debt, and not enough jobs out there. And so it's really tough.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now tell us what the NAHREP does.
It provides business opportunities. At the end of the day, we have a mission statement, which is to increase sustainable Hispanic homeownership by empowering those who service that community. But what we do with 55, 60 chapters across the country are events like this, providing mentorship from all-stars like this, so that the 200 or the 60 people in the room can take one nugget and say, all right, I'm going to spend an extra hour prospecting. I'm going to spend an extra 20 minutes seeing what I do throughout the day, so that maybe I can close another 10 transactions and bring in another $100,000 in income. So that's what we do across the country. Why? Because then we have a wealth project to show them how to truly live and invest their money to create more wealth.
Yeah,
So
you have chapters from Brooklyn, the Poconos, and let's see, Queens.
Yep.
Right, at the breakfast
Just today, yeah, and then tomorrow I'm going to be with the Manhattan chapter as well. Mm-hmm.
And how does one get in touch with the NAHR?
The website, narb.org, it will connect you. Scroll down screen, you can be a platinum member and be a member to all the chapters, or you can select the chapter that benefits you.
Okay, and any information on a Latina or Latino wanting to explore real estate, who do they call?
They go on the website, and any organization outside of NAREP, we have a State of Hispanic Homeownership report that comes out every year with the trends across the country and specific markets. So I encourage you to check out the website.
Now, you have quite a career. We call you the $1 billion broker because that is the moniker that you have coined, and really, and you, Jacky Teplitzky, you have appeared on Fox Business, CNBC, CNN, Espanol, and Bloomberg TV, and you've read her comments in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, and online on Reuters and Univision. You sell a little real estate in Manhattan and Miami. Now, you are of the Latin heritage, a native of Santiago, Chile. She was raised in Israel, served in the Israeli army, got her start in the international travel business in Spain, rose to senior level executive with international company there, and applied your global experience to real estate, working for MLBK, the Corker Group, and joined Douglas Elliman in 2003. You've been working for them for 13 years. How has your business grown over those 13 years? What have been your explorations?
So, well, definitely the business have grown, but also the competition have grown. So, you know, the problem, I think that our challenge right now is that people that started in the business, like me, 20-some years ago, how do we keep current? How do we keep competing with the newcomers that, they have, different ideas, they are innovators, they are more of the digital age. So one of the things that we have to do is to stay on top of our game all the time, which is not easy. So what you have to do is you have to get people also to join your team that are of that generation, and that's something that I changed during the last 2 years. I'm bringing younger people to my team, people that bring another point of view, that communicate differently, like we talked today, and also to be absolutely current in things that are happening, and to be able to grow the business. And the other challenge is how do you keep your bread and butter going with increasing your business, on the other side. Like a lady just asked me today, she said, well, if I don't want to continue, selling in this price range, I want to go from this price range to this price range. And I remember years ago, I got an advice from Barbara Corcoran, be careful, because she said to me, if you are going to jump from this price to this price, and then you're not there yet, you're going to lose all of this price. So therefore, I started the team to continue looking after this, so I can start, growing and going to the next level. So I look at myself as the, in a train. I'm the how do you call the one that that pushes
the conductor.
The conductor, the conductor of the train.
Yes. And you also pointed out in your talk when to figure out whether you want to add staff.
Correct.
When you're starting out. Could you just capsulize that?
Yeah. Not only when, but what type of people you want to bring on. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality and what you need at a certain point. It depends on where you're going. If you are growing more in the Latin American market, I need people in my team that speak Portuguese, that speak Spanish. I cannot just have everybody speaking only English. If I want to go into the Russian community, so I need...
That's coming.
Yeah, exactly. So I need somebody that understands that culture. So it all depends on what your goals are and how do you want to get there. That you have to put all the the stones in the right place.
Now, one thing that I personally drew from your talk today was the enormous amount of personal commitment
Yes.
to run your own business.
Yes. Hard work.
Yes.
You know, there are no shortcuts. You know, I love this new generation. I have a little bit of a problem with the new generation.
Me
Because the
too.
new generation wants to have fun, they want to work less hours, they want to have a lot of leisure time. And I say, well, that's all great. It depends how much money you want to make. You know, I always say, hey, there are people that make $50,000 and they are very happy. And there are people that make $50,000 and they are very unhappy. So you have to make a decision how much money you want to make in order to be happy.
And you pointed out in deciding what you needed to expand your business is that you do more of what you do well and parcel out the other stuff that is taking away from your time doing what you do well.
Exactly. And the delegation is the name of the game. I mean, I'm a control freak, I admit it. You know, it's like I admit it completely. But I know that I have to let go. And I have to allow for mistakes. And even though that I get very frustrated sometimes if a person makes a mistake, and I'm a very perfectionist, but I know that I cannot do everything. So I have to give, you know, the leeway to other people in my team to make mistakes, to correct them, and hopefully they will not make them again.
We're coming to the last few minutes of the program, and we'd like you to, first of all, well, tell us your message out there to Latino women, Latino men, as to what you would tell to them facing these uncertain times and also great opportunity times for the Latinos.
Well, first of all, my message is to be heard. Don't complain about things and don't do anything about it. If you are not happy with something, you have to voice out. If you're not happy with something, you have to try and find a solution. If you don't want to sell any more $200,000 homes and you want to sell $500,000, okay, fine. Start making a plan towards the $500,000, but don't complain a year later that you are not selling $500,000 because you haven't done, you know, anything towards that. The complaining and the excuses have to get off the table.
Boy, that's for sure. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
I like to say that the best athletes in the world leverage coaches and mentorship. And you guys shouldn't be any differently. So look up all-stars like her or go on our website and see what chapters are in your area and go check it out, because that's really the breeding ground to find mentorship and top producers.
Yes. One question I didn't touch on, a lot of women sell real estate part-time. Can this be, how does that work out?
Yeah, I mean, that I have a problem with, and I must admit. I mean, I have a lot of people that come to me and want me to hire them, and they want me to hire them as part-time, and unfortunately, I say no. This is a profession. Unfortunately, you cannot be half in, half out. If you want to make it in real estate, unfortunately, I have to tell everybody, it has to be a full-time job.
You don't believe in the word flexibility, huh?
No.
I agree.
Well, it's like the news business.
Well,
it's an inconvenient business.
Well, think about this. If you're going to have surgery, do you want the part-time surgery or you want the full-time surgery? Simple as that.
Nobody
Simple
ever
as
says,
that.
well,
Yeah.
look, you take over now.
Yeah, come on Tuesday.
I'm right
and Thursday.
here.
Come on Tuesday and Thursday for surgery. Why? What are you doing Wednesday? Well, Wednesday I'm managing a restaurant.
I
That's
see.
not probably the surgery you want.
Interesting point. Well, Jacky Teplitzky, you have been heard, the billion-dollar broker, and Armondo Tam of the National Association for Hispanic Realtor